All right, everyone. All righty. So listen, it's been a moment. Let me go ahead and take that down. It's been a moment, a minted, all those things you want to say. But hey, welcome to the Dear Talk Show. So let me go ahead, even though it's been a moment, I need to go ahead and get that housekeeping out of the way. Everything that I state over here is allegedly. If you're listening, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed. And if you are subscribed, make sure your notification bell is turned on to all. The other thing is that, I have to put it up here. It's that great big old Copyright Act under 1976, Section 107 for fair use, teaching, and all of that great stuff. Anywho, like I said, it's been a moment. And anything that I state is my opinion. I'm typically, and then you guys know my slogan is always that jazz. Typically, I don't talk a lot of politics on this particular channel. I do have another channel that's called Election Vibes and Beyond. But yeah, I pretty much don't talk a lot. But this has to do with the situation with Don Lemon, David Easterwood. I'm going to air quote and say allegedly. He's a pastor, but allegedly they're stating that he is an ICE. Like, I guess he's over ICE, whatever his I really didn't want to get into it. I just want to bring it to you guys, give y'all my opinion, and we can talk about it. So I need to try to change that ICE word to a different word, but it is what it is. And it's about the situations that are going on in Minnesota. So what I'm going to do is give you guys a couple of I would say, I don't know, give you guys a couple of sound bites of what I want you guys to hear. And this is dealing with Don Lemon. Nicki Minaj wants to put her 2 cents in. And I think this lady pronounces her name Nekima Armstrong. And I'll give you some background information on her. And as I said, David Easterwood. So let's go ahead and start sharing. If you have not seen, heard, or been exposed to the situation, I want to start you off, and I'm going to cite my source. I want to start you off with Don Lemon. He has a YouTube channel. And if you're not on his YouTube channel, please subscribe. I follow him on all streaming platforms. He's on Instagram, he's on TikTok, he's on X, in fact, I found out about Blue Sky through him, which is another platform that was formed when all the TikTok situation was going on. But let me get started. I want you guys to hear. I was trying to, take it to a point where you can really find out what's going on. Who you see right now, this is, let me bring it up a little bit bigger. This is Don Lemon. And then this is, I'm going to say her name again, Nekima. If I got your name wrong, I'm sorry, Mrs. or Miss Armstrong. But he's speaking with her. All the people you see around are protesters, cameraman. You see the church in the background, what Don and Fatima is speaking about. So let me make sure I break that up louder. Here you go.
Have to decide which side are they on, the side of the Lord, truth, righteousness, or justice, or the side that pretends to be on the Lord while harboring someone who is helping to perpetuate evil on our community, the guy who oversees ICE agents. How dare you claim to be a minister of Jesus? I am a reverend, I am a lawyer, I am an activist, and I stand on the side of freedom, justice, truth, and righteousness.
Did you,
period.
You can show some of that, Mike, too, as well. Did you try to talk to the leadership of the church?
You saw me try directly to talk to the leadership.
Okay, so what's really going on? And she says she's tried to speak to the leadership of the church. My personal opinion, I don't know if trying to talk to them on the day that they're having service, but sometimes you have to meet people where they're at. This is my opinion, and that's what it is. So she tried to speak with the person or persons over the church. So I'm quite sure they, based on where they're at outside, they didn't want to hear what she had to say. I will link this. Actually, it's about 6 minutes, 47 seconds. Yeah, about 6 minutes, almost 7 minutes. I will put this in the description box so you can watch this in entirely. Now, what I want to show you on Dawn's Instagram is what happened when they were inside the church. And it's not the whole from beginning to the end. You guys are going to have to do, I'm here just to give my opinion and just give a little sound bite here and there. So I'm not going to play the entire thing, but I will put it in the description box if you want to go and listen to the entire thing. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me see here. Let's see. Let me pull Dawn up. Here it goes. Dawn is inside and he's interviewing one of the parishioners or congregation or however you want to say it.
How do you feel about this?
I don't necessarily agree with everything that's going on in the Twin Cities right now, but I don't think it's good to fight fire with fire. I think it's good to speak up. I think it's good to protest, but I think it's better to do it in a peaceful way.
You don't think this is peaceful?
It's trespassing. How would you feel if I went to your house and I started yelling?
I don't think these people would go inside of anybody's house.
Well, this is a house of...
Okay, you just made a comment of how would you feel if I come to your house and trespassing? Well, I'm going to say exactly that's what they're doing. That's what ICE is doing. They're going to people's house now. And I'm going to say allegedly because I'm seeing clips here and there. But from what I'm seeing, sometimes they're not, it depends on who the agent is. They're not even caring about a warrant or anything. They're just going in and doing what they want to do. So, and then I'm going to state this while I'm here and I'm going to stand on it. A lot of people have an issue with Don being in the church. Don was outside. Okay, I've seen some of his other footage where he, was speaking with the protesters before they went in and everything. But Don is one person. He can't make someone stop doing what they want to do. And my question for you guys is this: if this was a black church, which we know throughout history, and not even just history, we can go back to last year, we can go back. You got people going in with pop piles and black churches and doing what they want to do. And it's like, okay, you may put the person away. You may get them a slap on the finger. I'm not saying two rights make a wrong, but if this was a white reporter, not Caucasian, white, if this was a white reporter, would they still be trying to stand on Don Lemon's neck? And I'm going to get to Nicki Minaj. But would a lot of these people, and then I've been watching TikTok, some of these people want to say, oh, Don, you're a podcaster, you're this. First of all, what we're going to do is put some respect on his name. Don Lemon has been out here in the trenches long before there was a YouTube. Okay? He is a certified journalist. His credentials speak for themselves. So I'm not stating, and I am going to state it. He may be on YouTube, but baby, never forget who and what he stands for. And then the DOJ trying to come at him. Let me tell you something. If anybody remember when he was on CNN and when the orange guy first ran for office and with all this stuff, Don stayed on his neck. Oh, baby, he was so hot when Don, I should have found it before I came on, but I didn't even think I was going to talk about it. When Don was on orange guy neck, when he first started trying to run, when he ran against Obama, baby, Don read him for the filth. All right, I'm gonna give you a little synopsis. Don was like, are you mad because his daddy loves him? Are you mad because he's smarter than you? Are you mad because he looks better than you, and so on and so forth? Baby, I was like, come on with it, Don. So for me, it does not matter what anyone states about Don Lemon, about a podcast, about YouTube, or whatever. Baby, guess what? CNN may have did what they wanted to do, but baby, they came back in the back end and he got paid. So it don't matter how he got to where he's at. He did it on his own with God's help. And I was with him from the beginning when he started his YouTube channel. And this is not the first time, the second, third, when voting was going on, he took it upon himself to go out in the masses to talk to people. It did not matter if it was somebody that did not like, the Democrats, did not like the Republicans. He talked to everyone. He is a real journalist. So miss me what platforms he on. He's getting banked, baby. And he's bringing the news along with a lot of other of his counterparts. So let me go ahead and I didn't mean to stay on it that long, but listen, I'm not here for it. And Nikki, baby, we will get there. Here you go.
God, in the house, people don't yell at each other.
There's a lot of yelling in my house growing up. We still loved each other.
It doesn't necessarily mean yelling is the answer, right?
No, but I think it's the way you work things out is that you talk to each other, you disagree. I think maybe if the pastor would try to calm things down and say, let's all talk.
I think that it's good to talk. I think protesting on the streets is fine, but I think there's a difference between that and then going into someone's property and then yelling.
Would you be okay with your pastor talking to him?
You guys, let me see. I'm going to try to share that, but I'm going to let you guys, let me go ahead and click it. I'm going to let you guys listen to the rest of that later because he's talking a lot of hogwash. Let me see what some people say. This one person said the fact that he doesn't see the irony as he preaches about not going into somebody else's home and yelling. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I just stated that. This other person say, how would you feel if I went to your house? You mean like ICE is going to people's house? Same thing I said. The other person said, I thought the house of God is open to everyone, and so on and so forth. So let me go ahead and get out of there. And the next thing I want to do, I want to introduce you to Mrs. Armstrong. Forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong, but I want to introduce you guys to Fatima. And forgive me for it not being that big. Let me see. Can I stretch it? I'm not going to worry about stretching it. It is what it is. Let me go ahead because I want to get through this. Okay, she's on Facebook. It states her intro, civil rights attorney, social justice activist, children's book author, woman of faith, and entrepreneur. She's a public figure. She's a CEO, culinary director at Dope Roots. It says she's an owner and principal consultant at Black Pearl LLC. She was a former president at NAACP, rights attorney at a law office of Nekima Levy-Armstrong. So my whole thing is she knows what exactly she's doing. So she is married. Okay. So, and she lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So they're in her neck of the woods. It says she studied at the University of Illinois, urban campaign, and she's from California. So guess what? Mama know what she's doing. Mama know her rights. She knows exactly what she's doing. So I want to stop sharing that. I want you guys to listen to she sat down with CNN, and I want you guys to listen to what she had to say. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys, and let's play it. Let me see the sound. Yeah, it's loud.
I didn't choose the venue. The venue chose us. When they decided to have a
but you did choose to go to that place in particular, right?
I'm saying in terms of the controversy surrounding this pastor who is also the director of ICE. in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so as a Christian, as a woman of faith, it was my duty to go into City's church and to confront the situation and to raise awareness to the congregation. I do not have any regrets about going in and raising the question. So
what was
I know
the
that
question
there have
specifically,
been
Nekima? I want to understand. What was your question? I want people to hear the reason and the goal you had for going inside as opposed to outside. What did you want to bring to the congregation's attention?
Yeah, so I want to explain what happened. So we've heard reports that BLM stormed, City's church, which is absolutely not true. We came in a very orderly fashion. We participated in the praise and worship that was going on at the church. We participated in the prayer. During the prayer by head pastor Jonathan Parnell, one of the things that he said is, "Chasten us, O Lord, and help us to get our house in order." Mm-hmm. Once he finished that prayer, I stood up and I said, "Excuse me, Pastor, you just prayed that God would chasten you and also help you get your house in order." And he said, "Correct." And I said, "Well, help me understand why David Easterwood is a pastor at this church, but also works for ICE." As I was stating this question, the pastor suddenly goes, "Shame, shame," because he didn't want the rest of the congregation to know about this pastor's double life.
And that is a fair question. That is a fair question. This is an attorney. So I feel that an attorney will not go in and say something crazy like that. That's my other question. What is this church going to do now that it's out in the open? Regardless of how they want to spin the narrative and state that, they came in hostile, they came in this way, they came in that way. This is the age of video, online, live stream. So the narrative can be spent however it wants to be spent, but there are facts, there's the truth. So answer the question. The church needs to answer the question. I'm not giving out the church name. I don't have anything to do with that, but answer the question. So now it's out in the open. You guys have this person who allegedly works, and it had been put out through some other journalistic organizations that it is true that he is a pastor and also is over ICE in a particular sector. So let me let them go ahead and finish.
Well, hold on, Nekima. Let me ask you on double. And I'm sorry for the delay, and I feel like I'm talking over you, but I do want to have this conversation. There are some who I'm hearing what you're saying, and it sounds like there's an inconsistency that you feel between working for ICE and being a Christian or being a pastor in this church. Do you believe
being a pastor?
Okay, so do you believe this would extend beyond an ICE agent to law enforcement more broadly? Have you questioned the Christianity or faith of others who work for organizations with which you do not agree?
First of all, I am a Christian, just as the people of this church are Christians. And so I am focusing specifically on the terrorism that ICE is engaged in on our streets, the abuse, the violence, dragging people, actually launching high-grade military weapons in our community, and knowing the fear that exists in our community. And so to have someone being a pastor where you think about the pastoral care that they give, the whole foundation of Christianity, which is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. How can you, out of one side of your mouth, say that that's what you believe, and on the other side of your mouth, unleash ICE agents upon our community, exploiting people's vulnerabilities, making people afraid to leave their homes, to go to medical appointments, to get groceries, to take their children to school? The math isn't mathing, Laura.
Okay, so let me go ahead and take that down. I did not cite my source, but I said CNN in the beginning, but I want to send a huge shout out to CNN. And completely understand where Attorney Armstrong is coming from. This is the thing. God is, I don't understand how someone can be a pastor allegedly at a church and also commit the things that are going on, regardless if you're not putting your hands on the person, you are delegating allegedly. If you are the same David Easterwood that they're talking about, you're delegating. So basically it comes from the top and runs to the bottom. So how can you be a pastor unless this is how you pastor your church? And I was trying to see, did they have anyone else in their church of any other ethnic group? I really didn't see, and I can't say 100%. But if they do have someone in there that is other races, how do you think that your congregation or your members feel? And normally churches, if they're not ran a certain way, would want to build their membership up. I don't think it's a good look. I really don't think, this is my personal opinion, I don't think it's a good look to have a pastor that's overseeing ICE. And for the other pastor, the junior pastor, or whoever he was, and there are other clips with the pastor that she's talking about, because he's not the head pastor, the one that she was speaking to at the congregation. If he did not mean any harm, he would have come out. Now, I want to pull this up. This is from, let me just make sure, C-SPAN, I think. Yeah, this is from C-SPAN. And this is the alleged, I'm just going to say, because, but this is him who they're saying, which is David Eastwood. I want you guys to listen to what he has to say, and shout out to C-SPAN. This is where I got my information from, and I want you guys to listen. And they show his name at the bottom.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Secretary Noem, for your leadership and for taking the time to join us here today. Your presence underscores the importance of the work we do every day in service to the mission of the Department of Homeland Security and the American people. My name is David Easterwood. I'm the Acting Field Office Director for Enforcement and Removal Operations, ERO St. Paul. I'm honored to lead the officers and staff of ICRO across Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska. The men and women of ERO St. Paul embody the highest standards of professionalism, integrity, and dedication.
Okay, I just want you guys, let me try to let him talk and bring
every day. They face complex challenges with determination.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want right there, so y'all can see his face, because I'm not going to give him too much time to talk. Okay, this is the alleged pastor, and you just heard him read out his credentials. Now, if you are the alleged pastor over that church that the protesters went to, and based on the attorney, and I'm quite sure there's clips out there, I'm just not going through all of it. She clearly knows the law, so she knew she could not storm into the church. So she clearly stated on CNN, and you heard her say, they went in, they sat down, what we call fellowship. She listened. And when it was time, she got up. She didn't stop. This wasn't the pastor that she spoke with. It was another pastor. And I could show y'all his face, but, I just want to get through this. Anywho, long story short, this is the supposed pastor, the head pastor, main pastor, allegedly, that's also, you heard his credentials, that's over not only Minnesota, he said Nebraska and another state. So let me stop sharing. I just wanted you guys to see and hear him, give out his credentials. Now, I want to go ahead and I want you guys to I'm going to read what Nicki Minaj, for whatever reason, I don't know, this girl. I just don't know. I be like, why some people, why? I made it big. Maybe you can read it. But anywho, this is what she stated. And she said this yesterday. Don, you can see the cot sucking lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. Nick, and then she put the Chucky face. Nicki to the Minaj. Let me go ahead and tell you, honey. I think you need to stay in your lane. You should be the last person that's talking about locking somebody up and trying to be in a political arena that you don't have any substance for. That's my personal opinion. This has nothing to do with if I like her or not. It does not matter. I don't care if I like this person, don't like that person. It just does not matter. I wanted to pull up Don Lemon's response to Nicki Minaj, and then I'll go back and continue what I had to say to her. But let me let you guys hear what ooh, baby, what Don had to tell Nicki Minaj. Go ahead and listen. This is his response.
So people have been asking me about responding to Nicki Minaj's unhinged, homophobic tweet about me. I usually don't respond to this stuff, but let me just say this. Nicki Minaj, stop talking about shit for which you know nothing about. This is out of your depth, by the way. And you are a homophobic bigot. You don't care about African Americans, and you're not an African American. From what I know, you are reportedly an undocumented citizen, so you should be deported under Donald Trump's rules. And the other thing is that your family members, you have one family member who is reportedly a sex offender, the other family member, your husband or whatever, a sex offender is your husband, and one of them is reportedly a pedophile. And you have nerve to talk about me and what you think that I do? Nicki Minaj, get a life. Stop being a pick-me. You should have put a pick-me doll on that damn tweet instead of a Chucky doll, because you are nothing but a pick-me. And I choose not to pick you. And so should black people, and so should gay people. Shouldn't buy your music. Clock that.
Clock that. Clock that tea, baby. And one person said, hold my purse. I got you done. Look at Claudia drinking. The other person say, it's getting hot. And one person say, clock the F out of that. Look at Nene. Read, honey, read. When the facts are read. One person said, oops. Finish her done. Baby, they here for it. And first of all, Nicki Minaj, baby, let me go ahead and put her back up here with this idiotic stuff that she's talking about, so you guys can see exactly once again what I'm talking about. Nicki, let me explain something to you. You really need to stay in your lane. You really need to stay in your lane. And like some other rap artists or whatever, but how you gonna come out and say about Dunn and all this stuff and to my sucking this and that? Girl, come on. I don't care who you got riding for you or whatever. It does not matter. That does not faze me. The reason I'm coming out, because you want to stand beside somebody who went to school and has been at the top of their game and still at the top of their game. And it's like you need to learn how to pick your battles. And this is not a battle that you're going to win, because I've seen all the other idiotic stuff that you've been doing lately and stuff that you've been coming out, sitting with the orange guy, doing all that stuff. I was like, child, that's on her. I just didn't have the time for it. But what I do have the time for is to let you know you need to know your place. And instead of you telling somebody that Don needs to be locked up, you need to mind the affairs that you have your own situations. I don't need to go into it. You already know. But guess what? You put it out here so everybody's going to have something to say. And I'm with Don. It's like you decided that you want to come out and say these things with the orange, for the orange guy, for the groups and all this stuff, and you want to flip-flop. I don't really care if it's for attention, if it's not for attention. You have your opinion, you can do what you want. But at the end of the day, when you make your statements, be prepared. And baby, I'm always prepared. I stay ready, and it does not matter to me. But what you need to understand, don't come and say what Don needs to do. Don is doing exactly what he needs to do. You are not out here beating the pavement, out here for the people. You're not out here doing anything. So are you going to take money to help the people of Minnesota? Are you going to take some money and help them? Are you going to get out in the cold and, talk to people, trying to find out what's going on with people? Are you going to do any of that? And if you're not, have several, and they're called seats. Now, let me go ahead and move on, because that's all I can give her, because my tolerance is not in the mood. Okay, so I want you guys to hear some of the TikTok rhetoric that's going on, and then I'm going to close this thing off. So let me go ahead and bring up TikTok. Talk. This is the guy that the attorney Armstrong was saying she spoke with, which is, I'm not sure what his, they have certain levels of pastors, like a pastor, second pastor, deacons, and all this stuff. But let me go ahead and let you guys listen to this particular, it says, by Georgia Front. Shout out to By Georgia Front. You guys go over and follow her if you would like. But let me let you listen to what she has to say about the situation.
Church protests. Let's talk about it. Number one, my job as a journalist is to document what's happening. That's the same role as Don Lemon. So how did he become the story? Maybe it's to divert your attention from why the protest even happened to begin with. This man, David Easterwood, is a pastor at a church in St. Paul. It's also confirmed here, and here that he is the acting director for the field office in St. Paul for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. David Easterwood was either absent that day or he left when the protest started. And the pastor who was preaching that day is a part of the leadership team.
Now, that's the one that the attorney and, the one was speaking with Don and kind of shoved Don a little bit. But let me let her tell you.
But was not David Easterwood himself. Civil disobedience and protesting is not intended to be comfortable or even agreeable. History teaches us most protesters got in trouble for taking a stand against injustices. Some of America's most well-known leaders from the civil rights era have been arrested standing up against.
Exactly. You guys see this one. Okay, and this is, let me shout out Under the Desk News. Under the Desk News. I want to send a shout out to them.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE. A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE.
I agree with everybody's freedom to.
This is Don Lemon's TikTok page. You guys go over and follow him. I thought I was following Don on TikTok, but I guess not.
Protest. These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. If I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, I would be kicked out ultimately. It's not a good way.
They're saying that people are showing up at houses where they're citizens or without due process with a battering ram into someone's private property, and there's no recourse.
This is all part of a much larger dialogue. On one side are people who watched a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years. This is another administration.
Okay, stop. What we not gonna do, old man Billy Gruff, You sit here stating that this is not the time, this is not the place, we're worshiping, but then you want to shade and talk about the last administration. So you've just basically contradicted, walked back everything that you said, because if you really wanted to stand on this was not right and this wasn't the right time, why are you bringing up something that has to do with the last or whatever administration? But let's
There's a disruption.
hold on. Let me just keep going. Look what somebody put. Standing on business put this, y'all. Look at this.
Definitely did not love thy neighbor. This man was preaching the word of God while actively helping to tear families apart. Yes, David Easterwood, sometimes.
Him. I'm going to tell you how I know. Look at there. The same little raggedy teeth. That's you, boo. Ooh, your teeth put you out there, baby. Your teeth. Right there. The little Humpty Dumpty set on the wall. The teeth. Hey, I don't need DNA. I do not need DNA. The teeth told it all.
Spelled Eastwood, is a pastor and serves as the field office director for ISIS enforcement and removal operations. Arrow. And
yeah, there's no alleged. That's him. I didn't even see the teeth before. That's him. Right there. That's him. Oh, baby. Y'all can say what y'all. That's him. That's him. I'm just strolling through. That's him.
Church service in the Twin Cities, and now the Department of Justice says it's going to investigate. I'm Jason Boyette, and I write about religion. So here's what happened. Activists barged into Sunday worship at a church called Cities Church to protest a pastor they believed at the time was the acting ICE field office director in Minnesota. Now, news stations have now confirmed that, yes, they were right. David Easterwood is indeed a pastor at Cities Church and the acting field office director for ICE in St. Paul. On the side of the protesters, the left is saying disrupting church services is exactly the point. If someone is leading immigration enforcement that is terrifying communities, then they shouldn't be shielded by a pulpit. I mean, to start, ICE agents have intimidated worshipers by posting outside churches in order to arrest those worshipers. Protest organizers say a house of God shouldn't be a place that harbors power that they see as harming their neighbors. Now, some Christians are actually equating this with a story in the New Testament where Jesus flipped over tables at the temple. They're saying that disrupting religious services can actually be a moral act of righteous anger. Now, on the other side, the administration is saying, nope, you don't get to turn a worship service into your protest venue. Federal officials are framing this as interference with the free exercise of religion. In fact, the DOJ Civil Rights Division says it's looking into this disruption. Church leaders.
Okay, I want to send a huge shout out to Jason Boyette. That's who we're listening to. Religious Verse. You guys can go over and follow him and just give him a quick little like. Let me stop sharing. And that leads me into the situation with the DOJ, which is the Department of Justice. If you guys do not know that. So let me go ahead and just give you a little snippet of what they're trying to do to Don Lemon, which I just think that, you know, the orange guy has had an issue with him for years because Don has never taken his pinky toe. I'm going to just say he never took his knee off his neck because that's where it should be. Anywho, what you see right here, it states the DOJ Civil Rights Chief blasts Don Lemon for covering anti-ICE protests inside church, vows charges against the protesters. Okay, so I don't really see that happening because at the end of the day, Don is a journalist. He's a journalist. I mean, I've seen journalists go in far worse places. So what y'all wanted him to do, stand outside while everything was going on and, well, hey, live from St. Paul Church, I'm outside while everything else is going on inside. I don't have the footage, but let me tell you what I think is going on. That's not how it works. It doesn't work like that. So if it was somebody else that was favorable to the administration, they wouldn't have had a problem with it. That's my opinion. And this is the person that's saying that she's going to prosecute. The Justice Department will pursue charges related to protests in a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Assistant Attorney General, what is her name? Is Harmon. Listen, I mess up names. I'm going to say Halia said Monday, specifically calling on ex-CNN journalist Don Lemon for his coverage of the event. And then it says, in an interview, the conservative influencer Benny Johnson DeLon, I don't know how to say her last name, and it is what it is. I'm going to just say Lon, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights and Journalism, is not a shield from a criminal conspiracy. He's not using it as what? First of all, what your pastor should have done, knowing that he deal with ICE and not thinking that somebody's going to find out, he should have kept them doors locked, baby. Keep the doors locked. You won't have to worry about that. And it would be really funny to know, was he there and did he leave? Stand on business, my boy. Then it says Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside the facility. DeLon says on the Beanie Show, he went to the facility and then began, quote unquote, committing journalism, as if that's sort of a shield from being a part and embedded part of a criminal conspiracy. Man, come on. What? Come on. A criminal conspiracy, baby, come on. You stretching it. You stretching them draws real quick. But neither here or there. Don ain't worried about it. I'm not going to read no more of this crap. Let me see. Citing my source is NBC News. I wanted to cite my source. I should have done it in the beginning. But let me just go ahead and state this. I don't feel personally that Don Lemon did anything wrong. He did not lead the protest, number one. He is doing what a journalist is supposed to do. So if someone is, let me give you an example. Let's say, what's the old girl name? I don't even know her name real good. Somebody off of Fox. They see that that's just like when old boy did January 6th or whatever it was, the riot, the insurrection. It was cameras all in our government facilities. Did any of them get brought on charges? And if they did, they received a pardon. So for me, I feel that this is a bigger conspiracy because, they wanted to use a conspiracy. I feel this is a bigger conspiracy because, when the dust is settled, I don't see anything happening to Don. I don't see anything happening to the protesters, and I'm going to tell you why. There's footage. The good thing is they have footage. It would be different if they just walked in. Oh, yeah, we busting up in here. We're here. Yeah, we're here. This is what's going on. They did not. They came in peace. They sat down. They listened to whatever these people had to say. But everybody wants to throw, oh, it's the church. But answer this question for me. Is it wrong for the protesters to go in, and they did not protest in the beginning? They did it the right way. But is it wrong for them to be in the church? All she did was ask a question about, if you want to call the pastor the commander-in-chief of the church. That's all they did was ask a question. If you standing on business and you don't feel like he's doing anything wrong, you could have answered the question, yes, he works for ICE, and so what? But can you have a seat? So you're welcome to stay, but can you have a seat? But all of this, my thing is a hit dog will holler, not holler, holler. And so that's my opinion. My opinion is that Don Lemon was doing his job to get the information for the masses, the American people, for the world, because I know this has went outside of the United States. He's done his job. I'm standing with him. I feel that he did not do anything wrong. How would we know what's actually going on? He was talking to the other pastor, whatever that pastor's level or whatever. But there are other videos. If you want to go to his Instagram, you can go to the YouTube. I'm going to put the link. You can watch the entire thing. He was not abrasive. He asked questions. He did his job. I've seen Don on sidewalks, on streets, talking to people who's talking and being belligerent, rude. And, you know, he stands up for himself, but he's a professional. So miss me with it. Miss me with that. Guys, I've said what I said. In the comments, tell me what you think. Do you think Nicki Minaj needs to have several seats? Because, like, baby girl, you know, we're not talking about having your butt out, your chest out. I mean, it's your body, you can do what you want. But we're talking about real work, real journalism. We're not talking about getting on X or getting on somewhere and spewing out, you know, fornication and all this stuff. Your lane is popping and dropping it, writing lyrics and all those things. Leave it up to the professionals to do what they do. Okay? That's all I have to say on that. Guys, thank you for listening. Hit that like button if you like the video, if you want to comment. And over here, you know, you're always welcome. Share, subscribe. I talk about women's health, celebrity news. I also talk about autism and ADHD awareness. Also, DV help. Don't keep it quiet, politics, and stay woke, everyone, because we all have voices. We all have things that we have to say. This doesn't mean that I don't like Nicki. This just means that I have an opinion and I'm going to state my opinion. And I feel she's stating her opinion, but your opinion is a little lackluster and tasteless. You know, talking about Cox and all this thing. I mean, come on. If you want to say that somebody should be locked up, that's your prerogative. You could say that. But all that other vulgarity that you're doing, it's a no-go for me. So that's why I can't take what you say seriously. Because if you want to come up against someone who's educated and who has credentials that you don't have, just because you went out, pop, dropped it, and all these things and wrote lyrics, I'm not going to put down what you're doing, but you guys are in two different lanes. He's not going to come up and tell you how to cover up your boobs with pasties or all these different things. And he's not going to tell you how to write your lyrics. So you can state your opinion. My opinion, my channel. Until next time, peace and soul. Mwah. Love you all.